It is said that history flows like a stream, but in India, it crawls like a glacier. And let me be more specific. I'm talking about northern India, the society of what were disparagingly called as Bimaru states or the cow belt, the Hindi Patti. Basically, society is driven by caste. The caste is the primary identity and the basic driver of your day-to-day activities. It also decides the pecking order on which you sit and also your status in society. Also, it's a society driven primarily by perceptions around status, perceptions around ritual purity, pollution, anxieties around pollution, and commingling with other impure things, people, and institutions. In such a society, history does sometimes seem to stand still across centuries. And that's the topic of today's talk: how the events of 1857 mutiny are intimately linked to the events of 2015. Let's start with the former. So, the Mutiny of 1857, or as it is called, the First War of Independence in our textbooks, was primarily led by the Bengal Native Infantry, composed of mostly landed caste members recruited from villages of Awadh and Bihar. They were mostly Brahmins or Bhumihars, Rajputs, and such. And as we all know, in any high caste member of the time, and even today, the performance of the caste behavior is as much important as anything else, be it the blind adherence to rituals, be it performing outlandish and outrageous acts to just prove your duty boundness to the caste duty, and to go out of your way to shun any activity or any act that casts aspersions on your caste status. And also, because you belong to a high caste, it is quite easy for you to lose it in the eyes of others if you're not perceived as performing your caste duties, especially among your caste brethren more than anyone else. So it is in this context that we have to understand the anxieties of the sepoys. They were constantly under pressure back home, in their villages, in among their caste brethren, because they were already part of this impure institution called the English Army, where, for obvious reasons, you can't maintain caste purity. You have to commingle with other people of other castes. You have to eat with them, perhaps, maybe sleep with them, be with them, be in their presence. And of course, there's no way you can actually maintain ritual purity or dietary purities, for example. So, just by mere association with the English army, the sepoys are already condemned in a way. They are already condemned, and they have to constantly keep proving that they are following their caste duties, they are pure. However, it's not easy. And it is in this tension filled atmosphere that these rumors start in 1857 about the English introducing a new cartridge among the sepoys, where you have to bite it off, and the grease that is used in the cartridges is actually made up of the fat of cow and pig. Of course, the actual contents wouldn't matter. I mean, it never matters. In a society driven primarily by hearsay, rumors, and blind faith, it's just the perception that matters. So, in fact, as soon as these cartridges are introduced, the English are alarmed by these rumors and they promptly withdraw it after just 1 month of trial. In fact, the British officers sought to allay the sepoys' fears, even assuring them that actually the grease was made up with sheep fat and wax. However, it didn't do much to allay their fears in reality. Uh, and as we can understand, the fear was actually more about being ostracized rather than actually performing an impure act. Though again, within weeks of the rumors, the British actually stopped the production of these pre-greased cartridges within a month, and then they even started giving the sepoys a daily quota of some allowance where they can through which they can actually go ahead and purchase material from the market and make their own grease, which is pure. But none of it mattered. None of it mattered because, as I said before, the sepoys were already condemned just by mere association and hence had no way out. And you have to remember, this is a society driven so deeply by hearsay. One of the most common stories circulating around that time is about a sepoy visiting a well to drink some water, and a chamar comes in, and um, he asks him to give water to him. The sepoy naturally gets angry and abuses him and asks him to go away. How can I give you water? You are, after all, a chamar. Go away. But then the chamar says defiantly, don't act so pious and don't act so religious. We are both same now. The fat of the cow which I deal with is the same that you bite with your teeth. What is that thing now separates us now? We are all the same. So give me my water. And of course, there's a fight and perhaps some violence. We don't know what happens and in the end, but this is how the story goes. Of course, it is preposterous to think such a thing could have ever happened in 1857 of all times. It is almost impossible that such a free-flowing conversation would ever have happened between a high caste sepoy and a chamar. But nevertheless, the story gained ground. It became very popular and again fed into the already anxious sepoys and just created more anxiety among them. Another popular story at the time was um, that the Britishers were actively mixing crushed bones of animals in sugar, and then that contaminated sugar was being sold in markets. Why, you would ask? Again, the same reason. The English are out there to harm your religion, to harm your caste purity. And this again adds into the already existing anxieties around losing caste, losing their status among the sepoys. So it is in this atmosphere that the sepoys of the Bengal native infantry feel almost obliged in a way, or almost uh, left with no recourse but to mutiny. And they have to revolt against their English masters. Now, how is this connected with Dadri in 2015, you may ask, in ways more than one. First of all, we have to remember it is the same society, more or less. The village of Dadri is not very dissimilar to the villages from which the sepoys of Bengal native infantry were recruited. And the belief systems, the adherence to castes, and everything that fueled that mutiny are still existing and they are still pretty much alive. So I would argue just the mere presence of a lone Muslim family in that village was enough of a trigger. It was enough to cause anxieties around being polluted, being not following the ritual purity as advised among the villagers. And it wouldn't have mattered what kind of meat was being cooked in Muhammad Akhlaq's family. In much the same way that it didn't matter what was the actual content of the grease that the sepoys used. The British did all in their might to convince the sepoys that no impure substance was part of the grease. And as the investigations of the Dadri case later on revealed, the meat actually cooked in Akhlaq's home was probably goat or chicken meat. Again, the actual contents didn't matter. Even if Akhlaq's family had starved for a couple of months, had not eaten a single meal, it wouldn't have changed anything. They were already condemned. The people of that village were already triggered enough just by mere presence, just by being associated with their family. And that was enough for them to mobilize and to collectively punish, collectively denounce this impure behavior, this impure act, and hence that lynching happened. We have to remember performance is a very crucial part of caste system. You have to constantly act your duties as per your caste, lest it leaves any doubt. Just by mere association, real or perceived, to an impure act or an impure person, food, or practice, it can make you lose your status in the eyes of others, especially more so among the non-Brahmins, because they have to constantly pass this ritual purity exam. They aren't the de facto gods on earth, the Bhudevatas, who are basically the arbiters of the caste order. So they are more of a follower. That is the sad reality in which we live in. As much as we would like to pretend there have been changes, and no doubt there have been, but then Indian society is a very strange beast. The more things change, the more they remain same.